Hello and welcome to Tricks of the S-Trade channel. Today is the 31st of January 2018. Officially it's not 2018 yet, but a lot of people do not know that because the Vatican under the Gregorian calendar wants us to believe that this is 2018, we have to go accordingly. But if you're interested in all that fine information to know when the actual year starts and ends, we've put all this information in the book for you. And as we've let you also know that the Vatican is trying so hard to shut us down because we share so much truth. They brought up a strike against our account for a video that we made on Selena Q and told us that the video did contain some nudity. So if you're interested in watching the Selena Q video, you have to go look for the Bono video and watch it for yourself. We'll give you instructions on how to watch the Selena Q video because we can't put it up on YouTube anymore. We should give you instructions on how to watch the Selena Q video. Then you can go download the Selena Q video and have it on your own. But let's just show you what's happening here because with every video that we've been making right now, we're trying to pass the information across to you guys in case the Vatican shuts us down so that you can still have access to watching us one way or the other. So let me show you guys that first of all. So here is the strike on account. As you can see right here, says Selena Q, Perez, transgender, transsexual. They say violation of YouTube's policy on nudity and sexual content. Now, when someone is trying to, control the information that you have because the Vatican owns YouTube and YouTube is the Vatican. They bring up such fine lines as community guidelines, and they say they have a so-called YouTube community who brought up this video that it contained nudity. But as you can notice right here in this so-called strike, there is no minute mark for the nudity content in the video. Why? Because it doesn't exist. All YouTube is trying to do, or let me put it right, all the Vatican is trying to do is shut us down for letting you guys know the truth about Selena Q, that Selena Q was not who she said she was. And that's it. Selena Q was passed off as female to us, but in real sense, when looking at the bone structure of Selena Q, you would know that you were looking at a he. The Vatican doesn't want people to know the truth of what it's been doing in our world, from controlling our world to the pedophilia that's involved in producing the so many transgenders that they use to control our reality that we find in in sports, in entertainment, in religious spheres, in every sphere and aspect of life used to control us. Now, a lot of people do not understand that the transgenders is a form of worship. It's not just something that the Vatican just does, but is a form of worship to certain deities, certain age-old deities that has been around since the beginning of time. So in the book, we go into so much revelation about that and who those deities are involved, or who they are actually, and how this came about. So we make you understand fully. All that information is present in the book. And like I've said, if you're interested in the book, please send us an email, all right, with the title book. The book is about, at this point in time, close to 700 pages. It's almost ready. So what we're trying to do with the publisher is because when writing the book, because we as a team, we would write the book together. So certain people deal with certain aspects of the book because the book is divided into certain parts. It has a definition of terms to make you understand how to read the book. I'll go into the name of the book when the book is ready so people can understand that. It has definition of terms. It lays a groundwork and a foundation for understanding what you're going to be reading. Then after that, it goes into details and it's divided into certain sections. So since as a team, we were writing the book together. When we total the number of pages out, it was because we started off thinking it would be close to, let's say, maybe 250 pages. But by the time we got done and starting the review of the book, we found out we had close to 800 and still climbing pages because some people will remember, oh, I didn't put this part in the book. I didn't put that part. I need to go review it. And we kept adding stuff. We added pictures because the book is so it's pictorial. We try to make a book as pictorial as much as we can, so you can have the images to see what you're describing, for you to understand what's going on. So the book contains pictures as well. And so we would edit certain types of pictures and, go through the history logs and pull out information from archives. The book is, if you really want to understand history, we believe, we're not saying this as maybe being proud, or we're not saying this because we're trying to make people, what's the best word? We're not trying to brag about it, but we believe that this is a book that everybody should have. It's going to tell you the history of this world from Genesis until how it ends. Because the book even goes into detail into revealing what the second coming of Yehoshua actually means. Because a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people are caught up in the idea of rapture and whatsoever. But we really go into detail to make you understand what it actually means. And that you've been seeing the Vatican tell you through stories that you couldn't understand the meaning and the concept behind the second coming of Yehoshua, as the Bible states, which the Vatican knows because the Vatican studies the Bible from A to Z. So in that book, we go into detail and tell you the history of why we are at this point that we are in time. So if you're interested in the book, we are very, very sure it's going to be out in the month of February, anytime between the 1st and the 28th of February. Send us an email with the subject book, because the book is going to be printed according to order. We don't want to print, a number of books that nobody is interested in. We don't want to have inventory laying around. So what we do is, like, if we have 50 emails, we'll just go to the publisher and say, print us 50 copies of the book. Then we come back and email you guys, the guys who sent us an email saying they were interested in the book. And we tell you, okay, the book is ready. This is the price of the book. And this is the cost of shipping. We'll ship the book to you anywhere you are in the world, provided you have an address. The cost of shipping may be different from people outside of the United States, because right now we are in the United States. We are not always going to be in the United States, but for now, we are in the United States. So we'll ship the book across to you anywhere you are in the world. So when the book is ready, we'll just send that email. We'll send, if we had 50 emails and 50 copies of the book, we'll just send an email to those 50 people. All right. If they take all the copies out, we'll not make a video to let you know that the book is ready. So if we do not have any copies available, we're not going to inform you to get the book. So that's how it's going to work. So if the 50 copies go out before the end of February, then we have to go maybe print another 50 copies or thereabout, and then we can officially make a video and let you know, okay, the book is now ready. You can go get it. But for the very first people who are going to get it are the people who emailed us before anybody else gets on the list. So we advise that you send us an email. So if we have up to maybe 100 people who send us an email, then the 100 copies that we'll print will just go straight directly to them through email, telling them the cost and shipping and give them the chance to get the book first. So that's why we're doing that. And secondly, since the Vatican, as you're seeing right, he's trying to shut us down, we advise that you send us an email also, so we can have you on our email list, because we're working on our website, and when the website is ready and it's under construction right now, we'll just send you an email and say website is ready. You can always go over there and watch your videos, and we will have such much more content to make you understand your world. And also, like, down the pipeline, we have when we're done with the book, the next thing we're working after the website goes up is on movies that can make you understand your world. It's gonna be like we want to make it so deep and rich. It's gonna look like a Hollywood movie which the Vatican makes, but it's gonna tell you truth, because whatsoever we're providing for you is truth and nothing more. Sometimes people get hurt, but truth is truth. We don't have any way. We don't mince words. There's no way for us to go around trying to say or trying to make it nice. We just put it out there. It is what it is, and that's what it is. So, people, if you're interested in the books, let us know. Send us an email. So, because all what we're interested in is getting this information across to you, because the Vatican is trying to shut us down. They don't want you guys to know the truth. Now, with that said, you've probably seen on your notification bar that this particular video is about Steven Tyler. We're going to find out who Steven Tyler is. First of all, we want to thank a very great subscriber of ours for bringing this to attention. The subscriber's name is Mr. Lee. And Mr. Lee brought, because over time we've looked at Steven Tyler, me and the team, but we really haven't sat down, because let's say we looked at Steven Tyler maybe let's say this channel is about a year old, maybe around maybe the first 2-3 months of looking at Steven Tyler, but we didn't have detailed pictures. We just flipped through and say, oh, well, just looking about the pictures, this man looks funny, but we didn't spend much time because we didn't have quality pictures. So Mr. Lee, who's a subscriber, sent us a very glaring picture, and we're like, okay, that doesn't look right. So let's go back to the drawing board and dig up Steven Tyler's files. So we digged it up. We found out that this dude doesn't look like the dude he's made us to believe, because Steven Tyler, I mean, he goes by the, there's one thing that Steven Tyler usually says when asked about his sexuality, because we all know he looks very feminine just by the way we look. People have thought that maybe Steven Tyler is gay. That's the reason why he looks that way. And Steven Tyler has always answered that he's somewhere in between. He really doesn't feel that he's a man or woman. And people, when you hear people say that, because usually when people say that, it's just a nice way of saying you're homosexual, because there are nice ways of saying homosexuals. For some people, they say they are bisexual. If you say you're bisexual, it's just a nice way of letting the public know you're actually homosexual, which is the right word. So when looking at Steven Tyler, you tend to think that he falls into that category. But Steven Tyler, the bone and skeletal structures that we've looked at, tell us that's not the case. And so that's why we're making this video, to reveal to you that Steven Tyler, as usual, is the product of the Vatican. And also, what we did notice while taking a good look at Steven Tyler is that Steven Tyler is a member of the band called Aerosmith. We found out that it just wasn't Steven Tyler who was looking funny on Aerosmith. We haven't looked at all the band members yet, but the two of them that are very particular is Steven Tyler and the guy that's called Tom Hamilton. He's a bass guitarist for Aerosmith. So on this video, we're going to be looking at two of them, and we're going to be revealing details to let you know that these people are not what they claim. As usual, all our videos are free on this channel for you to download and own and save it, and move it on to other people, share it, do whatever you want with the videos, because we do not know for how long our videos are going to be up. So like we said before, we want to put all this information in a book for you, so that there's nothing that the Vatican can do about a book. A book is a book. The greatest problem that the Vatican has always faced has always been in a book. The first book was the 1599 Geneva Bible, brought about by the printing press. So the printing press has always been the problem of the Vatican, because you can shut us down through the internet, but you can't shut down a book. So please, if you're interested in the book, send us an email with the title book. Our email is the same as the channel name at gmail.com. So if you've heard all that now up to this point, if you're a new subscriber and you want to dive deep into this video from this point in time, this is the point that we ask you that you go watch the primer video first. The primer video is the most important video that you're going to watch on this channel for you to understand anything that we're saying. Because if you do not watch the primer video, it's going to sound like I'm speaking machine code to you. You're going to have so many unanswered questions. All right? So many unanswered questions. If you know what machine code is, machine codes are a set of binaries in which a computer processor processes the information that you hear and brings it up to your screen in zeros and ones. A lot of people don't understand machine code because you can't speak in zero and ones. So if you're a new subscriber, you have to watch the primer videos. Otherwise, it's going to sound like I'm speaking machine code. All right? So that you don't have so many unanswered questions, but rather you have a basic foundation for understanding what we're talking about right here. So let me point you to the Primer video. So for a new subscriber, this is the Primer video. It has a playlist on the channel called Primer. All right, so go look for the playlist Primer, or just look for the video. It will be the oldest video on the channel. Now when you finish watching this video, the Primer video right here, you can come back and continue watching this video about Steven Tyler. And for any video that you pick up on this channel, if you're a new subscriber, there is a link in the description section. This link in the description section is going to lead you to a document. The document is called Male versus Female Visual Differences. Now, this document is a document that will help you to know the visual differences between male and female, all right? Because in a normal world, if this world was normal, this document would show you the visual differences between male and female, like maybe facially, the body structure, or the way things are. But because the Vatican is so much hard at work, all right, in trying to make the population of this world weaker by the day so they can control it, because the Vatican does not want people to be strong in mind and in body, so they poison our food, poison our water, and poison our air. So because of all that, all right, what the poisons that we're taking in daily as food, as water, as air, it's causing the human body to change in such a way that females don't have that female facial features and look that a female should normally have. And males do not have what you find that male facial look. I'm talking about just the face right here and how a man and a woman is supposed to look. Now you find out that the facial features between both have been mixed up. And that's what called unisex. And you should know that in our world, there's so much propagation by the Vatican of unisex clothing, unisex hairstyles, unisex shoes, and a lot of unisex. There is a reason for it. It's because the poisons that they're supplying in the food is causing all that. But besides that, this book would show you the differences between males and females visually. So that is what this book, or this document that you're looking at on the screen right now, tries to show you. But if you do not have the time, all right, to go through the book, even though we suggest that you read through the book because it's going to help you, all right, so you can know. We want to stick to what's most important, the most important difference between a man and a woman. The most important difference between males and females, all right, in our world is that the female is designed to give birth. Because she's designed to give birth, her skeletal structure is different from that of a man. So that is what you should lay your emphasis on when reading this document, the skeletal structure. Now that skeletal structure lies in the pelvic region. Because when people die in this world, the only way you can know the difference between male and female is by looking at the skeletal structure. When you look at the skeletal structure, you look at the pelvic region. The pelvis, all right, is going to tell you the difference, or if this person was male or female. So you guys have probably heard a song by Shakira, who's also a transgender, a male to female transgender. Shakira said the hips do not lie, which is the truth. And where are the hips of everybody? The hips of everybody is part of the skeletal structure and lies in the pelvic region. So that's where you should focus your attention to when you're trying to know the difference between a male and a female if you're doing an investigation of the sex and gender of someone. So now with that, with a new subscriber and everybody else, we just take you through a short crash course on how to identify the sexes. So if you have problems trying to identify it, just watch the way we do it and you go along doing that as well. So he's looking at my screen right now. There's a female to my left and there's a male to my right. The female on my left has an arch in her back. Now, why do females have an arch in their back? A female has an arch in the back because her pelvis is tilted forward. So the spinal cord here, or the vertebrae, has to move in such a way to accommodate this tilt in the female pelvis, which is tilted forward. Now, why is the pelvis of a woman tilted forward? The pelvis of a woman is tilted forward so that a baby can stay inside the pelvic region when a woman is pregnant. If a woman had a straight pelvis, she would have a miscarriage. The baby would not stay. The weight of pregnancy would just drop the baby right out of the womb prematurely every time. So that's why a female has a tilted pelvis forward. Okay? Now, the second reason why there's an arch in a female's back is because an arch is used to distribute the weight of anything that you build appropriately, or let's say evenly, across. We put all this information in the book so that you can understand that arches have something specifically to do with our world. So for example, the world that we live in, you've probably heard this 1,000 times, that we live under a dome. How is the dome of the earth shaped? It's shaped as an arch. So an arch is a natural design in making sure that you can distribute weight evenly on anything. We put all that information in the book so you can understand it. So send us an email with the title book. Email is the same as the channel name, and I'm using my mouse to show you right there so we can put you on the email list. So getting back to the subject of why a female has an arch in the back. The arch is extra support, so the weight of the pregnancy of a woman can be evenly distributed across her body so she can walk around without having any problems. Now, if you draw the arch in a female's back, the arch is going to be shaped like a C if you draw it from below the shoulder blades. If you draw the arch from high up on the shoulder blades, it's going to form an S-shaped spine, which females only have. A female has an S or a C-shaped spine. So when you're starting to do your transvestigation, you have to start looking at that. Okay? Now, for males, males do not have any arch in the back because the pelvis of a man is straight, is up and down. Men do not get pregnant. Men cannot get pregnant. Men will never get pregnant. No matter what you hear, no matter what the Vatican tries to deceive you with stories that they can do a transplant of an ovary or whatsoever, it can never happen. A man will not get pregnant till Yehoshua comes back. And he's going to come back in some way that only you can identify, which the Vatican knows, and we've put all that information in our book. So getting back to the subject of the man's back. A man's back is straight. So that's the word that we usually use because it doesn't arch like a female's back. If a man tried to arch his back, he would arch it in such a way that he would form a weird L shape. He wouldn't have a deep C arch in the back, which I'm going to show you in a minute. If a man's back wants to arch, he's going to arch outside like a D or a P, as you can see with the shape of this man's back right here. This is shaped like a D or a P, but it's always going to be straight down into the pelvis. There's never going to be an arch around this part before it hits the pelvic region. So that's the difference between a man and a woman's back. There's one more difference I'm going to show you in the hips. But for now, we just want to go scroll through the document just to show you how a female's back arches. Now, here is a picture of a female kneeling down. As you can see right here, this is the deep C arch that I was talking about that a female has in her back because her pelvis is tilted forward. It doesn't matter what color of skin. It doesn't matter the texture of the hair. The woman's back is always gonna arch in a deep C arch like this, because without that arch, the arch is because, remember, the arch is because the pelvis is tilted forward. Without the pelvic tilt, no female can be pregnant. So there is no female in this world that does not have a pelvic tilt. Some can be subtle based on the ethnicity, and some can be so pronounced also based on the ethnicity. There's a reason why things are the way they are. So we scroll further into the document just to show you that it doesn't matter what drugs you take. It doesn't matter what the female looks like, big, tall, small, any way she comes, there is always going to be an arch in a female's back. So the height is irrelevant. All right? As you can see right here, there is a big female to my left, there's an arch in the back. A small female to my right, there's an arch in the back. All females, regardless of color or ethnicity, regardless of the texture of the hair, straight or woolly, there's always going to be an arch in the back of a woman. Okay, I'll scroll further into the document just to show you that it doesn't matter if the female's got muscles. Nothing can change the skeletal structure of a person. Once that skeletal structure is set at conception, nothing can change it. There's no amount of drugs or surgery that can change it. Okay, so do not be lied to by anybody that there are certain drugs that you can take while a baby's in the womb and the baby can come out a different sex. There is no such thing. It's science fiction. All what the drugs do is change the muscles, as you can see right here, and the skin. So if it's a female trying to be a male, okay, because let's just use the right word, because the Vatican has programmed us with certain words which is hard for us to, difficult for us to let go of. Because in the natural sense, like I've always said, there is no such thing as a transgender, because the skeletal structure determines the sex. And since you can't change the skeletal structure, you can't change the sex. It's just like trying to build a house, a skyscraper, on the foundation of, let's say, a condo. It's not gonna work. The skeletal structure determines the sex. It's not the sex, the skeletal structure or the genitalia, as they would make us believe. So if you're a female, so I'm trying to use the right words, because if you want to get out of the way things are and understand this world for what it is, you have to make up your own vocabulary. Because if you start speaking the language of the elite, you're gonna be acting according to the way they want you to act. So they say transgender, and we just pick it up and say transgender. But in a real sense, there's no such thing as a transgender. What you have is a castrated male or a mutilated female. That's what it is. But just for the term, so you guys can understand what we're saying, we'll just call it a transgender for now, okay? But what we're trying to say is that if a female is trying to mutilate herself to be a man, and she takes drugs, what the drugs will do is make her have a lot of muscles like this. Why? Because in males and females, males and females have two kinds of hormones in their body. They have estrogen and testosterone. The testosterone makes the man to have greater muscle mass and thicker skin, and makes a man to be always dehydrated, okay? Because men don't get pregnant. So if a female takes drugs trying to look manly, because she can't change the skeletal structure, she's still going to have those hips, female hips, which is below the crotch, which we're going to show or talk about later in a minute. What happens is that these drugs will make the woman have a lot of muscle mass, because women naturally cannot build muscle. For a woman to build muscle, you have to be on some sort of testosterone, and that testosterone is always available in supplements that you take. So you have to be on some sort of testosterone to have a muscle mass like that of a male. Okay, so when this female takes those supplements or drugs, she's going to have bigger muscles. She's going to have thicker skin. She's going to be less dehydrated, and she's going to have a change in her voice. But the skeletal structure, the real problem is the skeletal structure cannot change. So that's all what that's going to do. Now, if a male tries to castrate himself to be a woman or female, or believes in his fantastical mind that he can be one, the skeletal structure is not going to change. The hips are still going to be above the crotch. So all that fat deposit is still going to make the hips look too high above the crotch, because a female usually has hips below, which is always lower. Okay? So when the man takes the drugs and goes through the surgery and slaps on his fake, chest, what the drugs do is make the skin of the male to be thinner. The skin becomes thinner. He has lesser muscle mass. It's not going to change the voice, especially if he started doing the change probably to when he was maybe after puberty. So he has to go through some sort of surgery to change the vocal cords to sound female. But the skeletal structure remains the same. So as you're looking at right here on the screen, this is a female who's on testosterone or some sort of drug to make her gain muscle. She's just doing this to gain muscle mass, all right? But she still has an arch in her back because the skeletal structure cannot change. The same with this muscular female here, still has an arch in the back because the skeletal structure cannot change. So let's move on and play the next video to show you a clip of where the female hip is at, which is the one defining thing that defines the sexes. The hips never lie, like Shakira told us, even though he lied. Let's do that. So here is a clip that I'm gonna play which shows you the location of the female hip. Now, this is standard anywhere in the world. The clip measures exactly the location of the female hip, which is always going to be below the crotch. This is how female get into their clothes. So if you're a female, just go down to the tailor. If you have a man with you, take him with you, and go down to the tailor and tell them, okay, I want to measure my hips, and see where the tape goes round. It's always going to be below your crotch. For a man, do the same. Tell them, okay, I want to measure my hip, and you're going to see it's going to go around above the crotch. So why is the female hip below the crotch and the man's above? Because the hip determines where the end of the torso of the body is. For males, the torso of the body needs to end in such a way so that the genitalia of a man can be outside the normal human body temperature for it to operate optimally. So that's why the hips of a man are above his crotch, so the crotch can function optimally. For females, the hip needs to be below it. Why does it need to be below? Because everything, the reproductive organs of a woman needs to be encased inside her body. And the hips are also below so that the birth canal does not have any problems, does not have any obstructions. So for a man, if it was a man, right, the hips would be in the way because it's above the crotch. For females, it's below, so it's not in anywhere, all right, obstruction of the birth canal. So that's why the hips of a female are below the crotch, so she can have freedom to move her legs out of the way when she's about to give birth. So I play this clip for you to see how a female's hips are measured. Now, as you can see, this is a regular female. As a regular female, when you stand, you start noticing that you start getting wider from underneath your elbows. All right, you start noticing that from underneath your elbows you get wider, like this female right here, because the female elbow would be right around here. And as you get wider, the widest point is always going to be below your crotch. Now, there are some channels out there which are going to tell you, like, for example, that the female, there's such a thing as shoulder to hip ratio that determines if you're female or not. There is no such thing. The location of the hip is what determines if you're male or female. For females, it's below the crotch, always. So a female can have shoulders wider than her hips. A female can have a waist wider than her hips, but the location of that hip is always going to be below the crotch, and nothing is going to move it upwards. So I play the clip so you can see where the tape goes round, and as you can see, the tape goes round and it's below the crotch. Below the crotch, the Q angle. Now, why is a female hip? Why do females have that fine hourglass figure? It's because the pubic arch, which is the reason, which is where a baby comes out, right, needs to be wide enough for the baby head to come out of the womb. So that's why a female has a wide pubic arch. Because of that wide pubic arch, it pushes everything further apart in the pelvic region. So the hips of a female are further apart and gives it that hourglass figure. All right? The Q angle is the angle between the hip and the knee. And for females, it's very, very acute because of the wide pubic arch, which pushes everything further apart. So this female is going to turn around so you can see where that Q angle and the hip location is from the back. So as you can see right there, that hip location from the back is slightly above this bum line right here, but below the crotch. If this was a male, this location would be farther up. This hip right here will be farther up from this bum line, showing you that is a male. So that's why for a man, if you notice, a man's bum is always going to end abruptly and shorter. A female's bum is going to go down longer because the pelvis is tilted forward, so it slides down longer, while a man is straight and just ends abruptly because males do not give birth. So let's move on to the transvestigation and find out who the guy in Steven Tyler, who's been confusing for us for a very long time, has been telling us that he is man, and see if he fits the male or the female skeletal structure. Let's go. Now, before I go any further on Steven Tyler, I just want to put out a warning, because this is the part that I put out a warning on our channel, because our channel is different. It's not any kind of channel. You just can't come up to this channel and say in the comment section that someone is a transgender or everybody is a transgender. Those kind of comments are going to get you blocked. A lot of people mistake free speech to mean that you can say anything you want. That's not what free speech means. Free speech means say whatever you want to say, but make sure you have facts. Based on facts that we can all identify, just like we know that the sun shines every morning. If you can't identify that kind of fact, then you don't say it. So if you come up to this channel and say someone is a transgender without providing facts, and not frivolous facts that you did not verify, you're going to get blocked. So if you supply facts based on a video that someone else has made with frivolous facts, those frivolous facts include that the person has maybe long arms, a long torso, a jawline, long index or finger or ring finger longer than the other, looks like a woman, looks like a man, has feminine ways, has masculine ways, has an Adonis belt, you're going to get blocked. The only way you're going to make your comments to stand on this channel is to provide links of pictures based on the female skeletal structure. And what is the female skeletal structure? Those links of pictures that you provide have to show that the person in question that you're saying is a transgender, that you're arguing for or not, has hips below the crotch, like we've shown you, an arch in the back, like we've shown you, a pelvis that's tilted forward, like we've shown you, and a wide pubic arch, which is necessary for childbirth. If your comments do not show in links of pictures that, or does not confirm that, it constitutes slander, and you're going to get blocked. If you say such words as "we suspect that someone is a transgender" without providing the links of pictures as evidence based on the female skeletal structure, you're still going to get blocked. If you send us search of Google search results of the person's body and say this is the evidence that you have, you're going to get blocked. Your pictures and links of pictures have to be specific, supplied by you, not by someone else who made a video on it, as proof for your comments to stand. So that's the warning I have to provide. We have zero tolerance for slander. If you are not sure of the person, send us an email. We can talk about it privately. You don't make any mistakes when you send us an email. You can say whatever you want to say in your mind and have no fear through email. But on this channel, in the comment section, you do not slander. All right. So this video that I'm showing you right here is a video by Aerosmith, and it's and if you probably heard the song "Dude Looks Like a Lady." I don't know, I can't sing, but that's just how the song sounds. So it's kind of like, the Vatican just mocking us because they know that some members, at least for two we've confirmed now, of Aerosmith were actually female. And they sang the song and said, dude looks like a lady, and we didn't catch it. So I just wanted to let you know about this small, mockery that the Vatican starts mocking us. A lot of people might ask, if you're a new subscriber and you probably heard the Vatican is the Roman Catholic Church. They're the ones responsible for the pedophilia, for the transgenders that you see on your TV. They are the ones who run and control your world. But the Vatican has an end. And it's funny how it's going to end. If you want to know how it's going to end, we have all that information in the book. Time will not prevent us because of telling you everything about how the Vatican is going to end. Okay? If you want to know all that information, send us an email with the title of book so we can send the book to you based on the price and the shipping that we're gonna let you know in a couple of weeks' time. So the Vatican mocks us. The Vatican runs this world. If you want to know who runs the world, it's not your Jews. We'll make it very clean and clear and simple in the book also. You can understand without a shadow of a doubt who the Vatican really is. So let's move on now and look at Steven Tyler's official stats on his webpage, or let's say official history, and see if there's any kind of symbology attached, because the Vatican always leaves its tails behind on every of its products. So anybody, because they have codes on how they talk, so that when they look up, when somebody picks up Steven Tyler, he's going to know it's one of us and knows how to relate to her, because it's actually a her. So let's look at Steven Tyler's official stats before we come back and wrap up this transvestigation on Steven Tyler. With every other video, because the Vatican is trying to shut us down, please download the video, save it, share it, do whatever you want to do. Spread the truth. Let's have some truth for the next generation, because we have been bamboozled. We've been lied to for so many years. It's time to turn on the lights. Let's have a little bit of truth. So let's go. So we're on Steven Tyler's webpage right here on Wiki. You can pause the video at any point in time and copy out the link. Or just, good on your search engine and just type Steven Tyler, okay? It says here, Steven Tyler was born Steven Victor Tallarico on March 26, 1948. The Vatican Code of Numbers is at work. March 26. March is the third month of the year, right? 3. And on 26. So the Vatican is always trying to tie some sort of symbology into, or make some sort of, not symbology, but make a symbolic spiritual element and connotation into their own products. There is a reason for it. The reason why all this is happening is that there's a far more deep meaning to all of this, and we will not have time on our videos because a lot of people complain about it is making too long. But hopefully when the book comes out, if the channel is still around, we'll be taking some parts of the book and just revealing stuff to you one by one. But there are certain things we can't talk about on our videos. It's only good for you to read it in the book. That's the best way I can put it. There are certain things because some people, I mean, a book is a private thing, so you can take it into your own house and just open it up and read. But a video is a public thing. We don't want somebody to get it rubbed the wrong way. So you can get all that private information, regardless, in a book without anybody feeling hurt about it. You know what I mean? It's private. Here it's public, so we can't share everything. But there's far more deeper meaning because of all this transgenders than just meets the eye. All right? It's a form of religion. And in a book, we define what spirituality is so you can understand. So you wouldn't be banding around the word, wrongly and not knowing what it means. But let's read something more into Aerosmith, because you can go read this. You can go read Steven Tyler's webpage. It's littered with Vatican symbology, a Vatican Code of Numbers symbology. But let's scroll down and read his early life, because there is something I want you to notice in his early life. The Vatican Code of Numbers still at work. It says, Steven Victor Tallarico was born on March 26, 1948 at the Polyclinic Hospital in Manhattan, New York, and moved to the Bronx when he was 3 years old. He moved to the Bronx when he was 3 years old. Why is it important that they had to make us understand 3 years old? Because it's the Vatican Code of Numbers. All right? This history wasn't relevant. But let's continue reading. It says, the family moved to Yonkers when he was about 9 years old. 3, 9. And what age do you see Steven Tyler here on this webpage as of this year? 69. All Vatican Code of Symbologies. I mean, there's so much numbers in here about Steven Tyler. Now, Steven Tyler has a daughter in Liv Tyler. Somebody might ask, how come he's a transgender and, has a daughter? Who was the father? Well, it doesn't really matter who the father is. It's because Steven Tyler is female and Steven Tyler has a sibling. We have a theory of surrogates on how these transgenders look like, make the daughters or sons of these transgenders to look like their parents, in the fact that the siblings can carry the children, all right, and birth them and then give it to the transgenders to make it look like they gave birth, or they had it through whatever way, or they had it naturally. That's the best way I can put it. So we have a theory of surrogates up on our channel. We even have a new video on theory of surrogates, part number 2 on this channel. I think it should be up today as well. The team would have maybe reviewed the video and put it up as well, so I don't know, but there is a theory of surrogates part 1, part 2 up there. So Liv Tyler, and secondly also, if Steven Tyler is female, it could still be that he has functioning eggs and ovaries, which they would have used these eggs to maybe give to whosoever surrogate they used. Maybe it could be his sibling, because he has a female sibling also, so that they could carry the child to full term and then present it to us as Steven Tyler, male, slept with someone and gave us Liv Tyler, brought the world Liv Tyler. But let's move on and finish this transvestigation of Steven Tyler. So here's the first picture of Steven Tyler. We've covered up the pretty parts because the Vatican, who owns Steven Tyler and YouTube, is tirelessly trying to find something to shut us down. So they wouldn't say that this is nudity, because even though Steven Tyler is male according to what the public presents him to be and the media, which is owned by the Vatican, if we put up this picture now, they could say he's nude. I mean, how can this dude be nude right here? So we just covered up the pretty parts because we know it's female. So we don't, make the so-called Vatican YouTube community to flag us for nudity on this particular video. But what we're interested in showing you is that Steven Tyler's hips is below the crotch. And you can see how acute the Q angle is right here, because Steven Tyler is 100% female. We don't know what's going on around this particular part right here. It can be fake or attached, but we know it's fake regardless, all the same. We don't know if the trunks right here he's wearing just has this padding right here to make it look like it's a male appendage. But we know when we look at the Q angle right here and the hips, that this is the Q angle of a female, because it's below the crotch. Below, not above it. Below the crotch. All right, so let's move on to the next picture, and we'll continue on with the roundup and finish this transvestigation of Steven Tyler. So here is the next picture of Steven Tyler. As you can see, the Q angle is below the crotch. Don't worry about what's going on right here. The crotch doesn't end there. It's just trying to give you an illusion that's where it is. It is not. It's right here, because you can tell that he is spreading wider down, and the Q angle is below the crotch. Steven Tyler is a female, being presented to us as male and masquerading as run for way too long. Is 100% female from this Q angle that's below the crotch, because you can tell already that he gets wider from his elbows. We covered the pretty parts so that a so-called fake Vatican YouTube community wouldn't say that we did what? That we presented nudity. So let's move on to the next picture of Steven Tyler. Here is Steven Tyler again. Hips below the crotch. Q angle below the crotch. Let me make you guys see that well. Look at that. below the crotch because Steven Tyler is 100% female. This is a very ugly looking female because I think he would have been a very beautiful woman if they had let her be. But with all the surgery trying to misconstrue the facts and tell us a lie that it's actually male is not flying. He looks like a very ugly, ugly looking female right now. Still a female because the hips do not lie, like Shakira said. So, now, if you want to watch the Shakira video, we have a video on Shakira. You can go look on the channel and you find it. Okay? Let's move on to the next picture of Steven Tyler. And look at that. The hips do not lie. It's below the crotch. Below. Let me try to blow this up as much as I can. What's going on here? Hold on a second. Let me clear this up. Hold on 1 minute. Trying to blow this up. It's below the crotch. You can see it very clearly right here. Steven Tyler is 100% female. Was never a man in the first place. All right, some other pictures of Steven Tyler. This Steven Tyler when he was much younger. You can see that there's an arch in this back right here. The female indentation above the navel. Right? You can tell this is when it was still going through the process of trying to look male to us. But this is 100% a woman with an arch in the back. All right? Next picture, Steven Tyler. You can see that trying to pose to us. I mean, just look at the mannerisms of this dude, this so-called dude. This is a woman. There's a woman right here just trying to look like a man, but it's not. 100% female, Q angle below the crotch. We've been fooled for too long. It's about time we see Steven Tyler for who she really is. And Steven Tyler, again, there's an arch in the back right here, as you can tell. Arch in the back. Arch in the back. Because he's 100% female and not a transgender, even from the way he walks. And look at that. That's a woman. You know, all this, the way females act, I've said this 1,000 times, is genetic. It's in their genes. That's how they are. So if a man tries to, act like a female, it's not going to pass. Because after a while, the male genetic trait is just going to come screaming out at you. Just like in the cases of Serena Williams and Beyonce and Iggy Azalea and Shakira, it starts coming out and you start seeing, I'm looking at a man. And this is what's happening to Steven Tyler because he's 100% female with the hips and the Q angle below the crotch. Another picture of Steven Tyler. This is Steven Tyler when he was much younger. I wonder if this is Steven Tyler's mother. Well, if she is, she must be a deep, deep, deep devotee to the Vatican and the many, many myriads of fake religions which they've produced from, Islam and Muslim. We put all this information in the book so you can understand. We give you facts upon facts so you can know that all these so-called religions came out from the Vatican, all right? The Vatican started out with very wicked black woolly haired men, and now it's run by albinos who came from Asia, all right? We'll get all that fine detail in the book. So if you're really interested in your history, to know the history of how everything will make sense once you get the book, you will have a clear understanding of life. We believe that I'm not mincing any words about this. I'm not saying this because we are bragging or trying to make a point. We believe that this book is the next best thing after the Bible. After the Bible that was given to us by the good men of old. No pun intended. I mean it with every word that I say. The team put up a great, great material that you can't get wrong with. So we advise that you should get ready for the book. Send us an email if you're interested in it. Regardless, send us an email with the title book, all right? So that we can put you on the list and print up the number of copies. We should be ready to go in February. Here's Steven Tyler again. As you can see, the hips do not lie. The Q angle scream all day, I'm a woman. He has the same Q angle and the Q angle of this lady that he's walking right behind. So every female that Steven Tyler has been with is a lesbian. That's just the truth. So if he's dating this female right around here, she's a lesbian too, because the Q angle say we are both females. So I want you guys to notice that. So let's go on to the next picture of Steven Tyler. Here is Steven Tyler again. The Q angle still says it's below the crotch. I am one ugly looking female and I'm not a man. I've been pretending for too long, and right now, everybody needs to know who Steven Tyler is, so that all generations who've been, been with Steven Tyler and Aerosmith shouldn't be lied to anymore. And this is a female chest. There is no clear separation between the chest or breast muscles and the abdominal muscles, because that's how a female chest is. A female chest is not designed to have a lot of muscle because it's designed to carry mammary glands for breast milk. So that's why there's no clear separation between the chest muscles of a woman and her abdominal muscles. And Steven Tyler's hips here and Q angle is still below the crotch because he's 100% female, was never a man in the first place. Thanks be to Misty Lee for bringing this information to us. And look at Steven Tyler. That's a female acting. You can see the female mannerisms coming out of him because, I mean, it's in your genes. If you're a woman, you're a woman. There's no way around it, the way you act. And he has an arch in the back here. The picture was much, much more bigger, but because of the so-called fake YouTube community in the Vatican, we decided not to show the ugly parts or the prettier parts of her. But we just want to show you the arch in the back right here that Steven Tyler is 100% female and was never a man in the first place. Another picture. Here is Steven Tyler with the guy here is called Joe Perry. He's also from Aerosmith. We don't know, but for now we think he is a man. All right, for now we'll just call it a man for the purposes of this video. We think that he's a man. We haven't done any investigation to know. I believe that Joe Perry is the handler of Steven Tyler because it seems like they're always around together. So we believe that he's male and this is female because he has to handle her some way, shape, or form, because this is all some sort of, the Vatican is a deep military project. All right, when you hear of the Jesuits on the Vatican, that's a military order. So when they arrange things, they arrange it in a military manner. So for example, Joe Perry here would be running Steven Tyler. That's what we believe. So So here is Steven Tyler again, walking like a female. You should know how a female walks. A female leans her weight into the foot that's in front of her in the step, because the pubic arch of a female is wider. So in order to support the weight of the body, the legs need to come inside and forward at the same time to balance out. That's why a female walks like she's catwalking and she's swinging her hips from side to side, because it's all about balancing the weight of the heavier pelvis. Okay, so with men lean their weight because men just have a normal pubic arch. The hips are not wider. Men just lean their weight to the legs that behind them. But Steven Tyler can't do that because he's female. That's why the arms are this way, because he's swinging, trying to balance the weight by moving this leg forward and inwards at the same time. 100% female, not a man. All right. Some more pictures of Steven Tyler, and here's Steven Tyler. We just want to show you the same walk again, that he's walking the same way just like the female to his left, because he is a woman. You can see the way the arms are swinging. That's how a woman walks, because the arms of a woman follow the contours of the body, so they're always going to be angling outside while she's walking. As you can see with this female right here, the arms are angling outside, trying to balance the weight of the wide pubic arch and hips. All right. Some more pictures again of Steven Tyler right here. This is Steven Tyler again with Joe Perry. As you can see, Joe Perry has the muscularity of a man, because there's clear separation in the chest muscles between his chest and his abdominal muscles. So that's why he's a man. There's one more thing that you have to notice, the difference between males and females. A man's elbows is usually closer to his navel. A man's elbows is usually closer to the navels because normally a man's arms are longer. So the longer arm is always closer to the navel. With females, the elbows are always farther away from the navel. All right? Because the elbows have to find a rest point in the female figure, which is the hourglass figure. So for a female, the elbows tend to come to rest because the shoulders of a female are shorter. So the arms, since the woman doesn't have enough width in the arms, enough width in the shoulders to support the arms dangling, the elbows have to find a rest point to support all the weight of the arm, because a woman has shorter shoulders. And when that happens, the rest point is always going to be where the hips at. So the elbows always tuck in and where the hips start to rest. and that's why it's always going to be way above the navel at the female waist. This is what Steven Tyler has, because if you draw a line right there, it's right very far away from this navel. But with this man right here, if you draw a line, you can see that the angle, all right, the line right here is closer to the navel. Just wanted to show you that, guys, that so you can start noticing those kind of things. And you can see that Steven Tyler, there is no clear separation between Steven Tyler's chest muscles and his abdominal muscles, because this is the mammary glands of a female, and not a muscular, not a lot of muscle density in the chest like the man right here in Joe Perry, which we believe is Steven Tyler's handler from the Vatican. All right, let's go. Some other pictures again. Here's Steven Tyler with, I think, some of his nieces and nephews, and this is the so-called sister of Steven Tyler. Name is Linda Tallarico. We believe that she would be the sibling who carried Steven Tyler's daughters to full term. If Steven Tyler wasn't hiding somewhere pregnant, giving birth to a daughter, or maybe donating her eggs, then that would be the case in Linda Tallarico. She could possibly the mother of Liv Tyler and the rest. It doesn't matter who the father is. They have somebody in the family who could look like Steven Tyler. That's all that really matters on how the idea of the surrogacy, the theory of surrogates, works in siblings. Okay, here is this still the lady again, and Linda Tallarico. This is her much more older version of her. We just wanted to show you that so you guys can see. Let's move on to some other pictures. And here is Joe Perry again with Steven Tyler. You can see that the way this thing bends, that's how a woman bends when she's trying to, you know, bend into some shape or form. That's how a woman bends, and that's how Steven Tyler is bending right there. Steven Tyler again, the Q angle is below the crotch because it doesn't lie. It says all day I'm a female at a cute Q angle, an hourglass cute angle from a woman in Steven Tyler. Another picture of, we already showed you that. This is Steven Tyler as usual. When a woman raises her hands up like this in this kind of posture, you have a very much pronounced hourglass figure with an arch in your back. And this is what Steven Tyler is doing, hands raised, and the hourglass figure shows very much, and the hips are below the crotch because Steven Tyler is 100% female, was never a man in the first place, a Vatican stooge. And this is the other guy that we talked about that's also female in Tom Hamilton. As you can see, the Q angle and hips right here are below the crotch, same as Steven Tyler. This is the person we've confirmed is also female, just like Steven Tyler right here. Here is Tom Hamilton again. As you can see, the Q angle doesn't lie. It's below the crotch. As you can see, it spreads. It gets wider and wider and wider. Let me see if I can blow this up as much as I can so you guys can see it well. See it right there. He sits wider from where the elbows are supposed to be. Wider, and the widest point is right here on a acute Q angle below the crotch. Tom Hamilton of Aerosmith is also female, was never male in the first place. That's why they look the way they look, very funny, because the hormones that they've been giving them in the drugs are starting to fail. So it starts beginning to show that you're looking at an actual female. Here is another picture of Hamilton right here, Tom Hamilton. As you can see, the Q angle is very acute, still below the crotch. And this is Steven Tyler, both of them right here. So it seems like these two were female. We don't know. We haven't checked out for any of these three, but we know for sure that Joe Perry is a man. These two right here, Steven Tyler and Tom Hamilton of Aerosmith, are actually females. All right. I think that is the end of the picture. With the end of the picture slide that we have. We didn't have a lot of pictures today. So if you've learned something great, subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned. In case YouTube tries to shut us down, or the Vatican tries to shut us down, which is YouTube, please subscribe to the second channel of Tricks of the S-Tray 2. All right. And also send us an email if you're interested in the book. Okay. The email should just be titled book, and the email is the same as the channel name at gmail.com, so we can have your contact information for future things as well. All right, that we're working on. And we leave you with these words as usual. Look with your eyes, but see with your brain. Thanks, and bye-bye.